And I called her, I'm like, what's up? And I remember she was like, I'm so sick. And that's how she sounded on the phone. And I was like, Kim, why do you sound like that?
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Seriously?
Spiritual death, like something went down. Like I felt like whatever weird was in him was in her.
So it looks like the rumors about Diddy unaliving his ex-wife Kim Porter are true after all, because her best friend Sahara Lotti just revealed in an explosive interview on the infamous podcast that Kim's death was sacrificial and orchestrated by Diddy. Sahara said he would threaten to unalive any man that Kim came in contact with, and he cheated on her multiple times to make her feel inferior. Now, the rumors about Diddy being behind Kim's death are nothing new, but this is the first time we're getting real in-depth details about how all this happened. Sahara even went on to describe the events that led up to her death, and it's clear as day, Diddy sacrificed her life for his own selfish gain. Kim's family is now trying to get her case reopened as well, and they want Diddy thrown in jail for what he did.
I'm telling you, if she came over to my house 50 times, 50 of those 50 times her phone was blowing up, and it was him. This was constantly.
So they're not together though at this point.
They're
right?
not together, but it was almost like they were together. I didn't like the dynamic of what I was seeing. Like I knew that it was causing her pain, basically.
Now, before we get into all the very dark and disturbing details of this story, let me give y'all a little bit of context as to how we got here. So, Diddy and Kim Porter met back in 1994 while Kim was working as an assistant to Andre Harrell. They started dating ever since and eventually separated in 2007 after Diddy reportedly got another woman pregnant while Kim was pregnant with their twins. But even though they were separated, Kim wasn't actually free from the shackles of Diddy, because every time she would try to date other men, he would threaten to unalive them. Kim felt very stuck in this relationship, but she let it slide because she had kids with him, including an adopted son from a previous relationship.
It's not like you have this partner that like treats you like shit and then you move on. It's like you have this partner that treats you like shit and won't let you move on. Like if she was seeing somebody and he got a whiff of that, somehow she wouldn't be seeing that person anymore. And it wasn't based on something she did. It was based on something he would do. Like there was not a chance in the world that she was going to be able to get married, be with another man, just not a chance in the world. Like it was never going to happen. So I was under the impression like, oh, okay, he must be giving her a ton of money. And then when I realized that like half of the jewels that she had weren't bought by him. You know, Kim was she was a lady. Like I said, she was old fashioned, Southern, cook breakfast in the morning, feed the kid, you know, and I didn't like that he would almost like booty call her. And I knew she didn't want to be with his ass. Like he'd booty call her. And it's like, and if she didn't show up, like the lights were not going to be on the next day. He'd broken her down so much that if she didn't, she honestly felt like she was going to be destitute.
Now, this ain't the first time we've heard about Diddy not allowing Kim to see other men, because just a few months ago, his ex-bodyguard Gene Deal also said there was a time when Kim slit Diddy's wrist after he tried to put his hands on her for speaking to another man.
Right hand is in a bandage. That's the night I was called by Paul to meet him over at St. Luke's Hospital. He had a white t-shirt wrapped around his wrist because Kim had took the cork, you know where you open up wine? The corkscrew. She took the corkscrew and caught him on his wrist defending himself. And he almost, I know he tore some ligament, but he almost hit an artery or came close to the artery or either scratched it or cut it a little bit because he just kept bleeding. And from that point on, he was hooked. That's when I knew when they was talking about people getting addicted and hooked on pain medicines, that's what happened to him. And it was from his right wrist that he's reminded by Kim. That's Kim's book. Then you hear about the fact that he broke Kim's nose on a yacht. He broke Kim, let's say allegedly, but it was told by people in her camp that he broke Kim's nose on a yacht. So Cassie's story is
Now, going back to Sahara, she said that Diddy even offered Kim $1 million at one point to come back to him because he couldn't live without her. Apparently, Diddy was mixed up in a lot of dark spiritual things, and Kim was like the only light in his life.
But on one hand, you could tell she couldn't stand him. She told me she didn't like his scent. But on the other hand, she loved him. But she said he's not the same person he used to be. So like he changed. Because it was all about what kind of place is Puff in. Like, is he in the light or is he in the dark? Like that was basically like the constant, like, oh yeah, he's back to normal. He's back to himself. Get away from, I mean, to be honest with you, a lot of stuff after she transitioned, a lot of stuff came to light that almost I feel like she was kind of hiding in a way. He was a bad dude, you know? He was a bad dude. And the thing is that Kim was ride or die for him. He offered her $1 million once. Like he could feel that she was disconnecting from him. And he like called her like crying, hysterical, please, I can't, don't, Kim, I'll give you $1 million. I'll give you $1 million. Like she should have just gotten that money. But she never did.
In fact, when Diddy started dating Cassie and he was parading her all around, Sahara claims Kim told her she felt sorry for Cassie because Cassie had no idea the hell she was about to be put through. Sahara also shut down the rumors of Kim participating in these freak-off sessions with other men for Diddy. Apparently, that was only the kind of thing he would do with Cassie, because he knew there was no way Kim would ever go for that kind of mess. Now, Cassie, on the other hand, she was only 19 when they started dating, so it was easier for him to manipulate her into doing things she didn't want to do.
What about all this crazy stuff, though? Did she tell you that there was like evil stuff going on with sex at his house? Did you have
Yeah, I had a sense of it. I knew that she had like some weird suspicions. For example, the Cassie thing, because, you know, Cassie is who he was claiming on the outside. But when I would see how he would like blow her phone up all day long, I was like, I'm so confused because I'm seeing what's really happening. And I said to her, like, what's up with this Cassie chick? Like, do you like hate her or what? And she was like, no. And I was like, what do you mean? And she finally looks at me. She goes, I feel sorry for her. I said, why? And she looks at me and she goes, no, man, better her than me. But I do want to tell you that, like, no way was Kim having freak-offs. Like, no way. And so it all kind of makes sense to me, though, in a little bit. Because you know how, like, the narcissist has, like, the woman that's, like, the one that makes him feel pure and clean. So I think that's what Kim was. Kim was, like, the front, the face. Like,
now, this is where Sahara went on to drop the bombshell about Diddy using Kim as a sacrifice to please these little demons he worships. If y'all have been following Kim's story, then you already know there have been questions about her death for a very long time because of how suspicious all of it was. See, at the time of Kim's death, the coroner who was charged of investigating, Ed Winter, ruled her death a homicide after the toxicology report confirmed that there were toxins found in Kim's body. But before he could finalize this investigation, he was thrown off the case and replaced by another coroner. Now, this new coroner was hella shady from the jump, because it took him 2 weeks to confirm that Kim died from pneumonia, which is a very long time, seeing as it doesn't take that long to confirm that somebody actually died from pneumonia. This was confirmed by Jaguar Wright, who actually spilled the tea about this over a year ago.
Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said that she died. It was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. You know, they have poisons that create heart attack.
Oh, but it definitely doesn't end there, because here's where it gets even more sketchy. When the autopsy results came out, there were questions about the manner in which Kim passed. According to sources, the reports about Kim being found unresponsive by the house help was just a lie made up by Diddy. She was actually found on her bed with, quote, blood on her pillowcases and a slight trail of blood on the bedroom floor that led to the bathroom. So she was strategically placed on the bed to mess with the police investigation. So as y'all can see, the manner in which Kim passed was extremely suspicious, and it's clear as day that there was some foul play involved. A lot of people at the time believed the reason that Diddy even unalived her is because she was writing a tell-all book about him. But according to Sahara, that wasn't actually the case. She said that Kim was way too loyal to even think about writing a book about Diddy, because despite everything, she genuinely did love him. And she wanted everything to work out for the sake of the family. A tell-all book would do the complete opposite of that.
When I tell you she was so ride or die, like there's like rumors on the internet saying like Kim Porter was writing a book. She wasn't writing a book. Vanessa, she was like loyal to the bone. Like she was not that kind of person. She wasn't writing a book about Puff. If she was going to write a book, she would have written a book 500 years ago and not dealt with his ass. You know what I mean? She was never, ever in a million years going to write a book about him.
Right.
And I remember once I asked him, I was like, you think he killed Tupac? She's like, no way. No way. She goes, Sahara, trust me, no way. And I'm like, you sure about that? She was ride or die for him. She was ride or die for him, even though she like kind of hated his guts too, but she wanted to keep it together for her family. But I know that she was horrified by him. The whole like love, family, all that was total BS. And she'd said that it's total bullshit. She's like, he's the worst dad in the world.
But it looks like we finally have an answer as to what actually happened to Kim, and the details are messier than you think. Because Sahara says Kim didn't die of natural causes, and that Diddy sacrificed her as a token to his demons for more fame and success. Sahara said that Kim canceled her plans to go on a trip with her at the very last minute because Diddy wanted them to go to Turks and Caicos together. However, shortly after Kim's trip to Turks with Diddy, she started acting very different, almost as if she was possessed or something. And as if that ain't bad enough, Kim was really sick all of a sudden, and her health was declining at an alarming rate. Before Sahara knew it, she got a phone call saying that Kim had passed.
She and I were supposed to go to Palm Springs, and then she calls me that day. She's like, I can't go. I'm like, why? She's like, Puff called. Like, he wants me to go to the Turks and Caicos. And she's like, I gotta go. And I was like, okay. But what was weird is that something about her was kind of off. Like, so he's good, but suddenly she's not, you know?
Right.
And then it was
right.
his 50th birthday, and we were supposed to go to the party together. And she had like called me 3 times being like, you're coming, right? And I'm like, I'm coming. And then the day of the party, she never called me. And I was like, that's weird. And then I called her and she's like, yeah, you know, the girls came in town. And I was like, okay. So that's kind of weird. And then I remember seeing pictures of her at the party, and I'm like, yo, this like doesn't even look like her. Like something's weird. And then through a few days later, she's really sick. And she's like, oh man, I have this like crazy flu. And I called her, I'm like, what's up? And I remember she was like, I'm so sick. And that's how she sounded on the phone. And I was like, Kim, why do you sound like that?
Yeah.
Like, this was somebody that would be like, she was like, her voice had a melody. She'd be like, hey, hey, hey. And like, she sounded like this like guttural, weird sound. And I was like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And so then I remember I texted her, I don't know, the next day. And I'm like, Kim, are you okay? And she goes, Kimberly down, is what she wrote in the text message.
Yeah.
It's like weird. And then the next day she was gone.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
seriously? Whoa.
So honestly, I mean, Vanessa, what I thought it was like, this is like a spiritual death. Like some shit went down. Like I felt like whatever weird shit was in him was in her. I mean, I'm telling you, his energy was so freaking dark during like the funeral and all that. I couldn't even say hello to him.
So within just a few days, Kim went from being perfectly healthy and even planning a trip with her girlfriends to now changing her plans last minute, acting hella different, and getting severely sick out of nowhere, and then just dropping dead. After all this came out, Kim's fans, as well as her family, are now asking for her case to be reopened and investigated again because there are too many inconsistencies in it. Something really bad clearly happened to this woman, and her family deserves answers. Diddy was successfully able to use his money to bury this whole thing, but with all the investigations going on around him right now, Kim's case is definitely gonna be touched again, and the truth will come out. Now, as usual, people had their own thoughts about this, like this person who said, Kim Porter passing away never sat well with me. Diddy definitely had something to do with it. He broke her nose on that trip. He's so evil. As a kid, I used to love Bad that boy and had no idea what was happening to all those innocent people. I'm glad the Lord pulled Al B. Shore though. Another person said, something jumped into her. She was so spiritually broken that she didn't have the strength to fight that possession off, which was why the text message was speaking in third person. That's so sad. But now I want to know your thoughts. What do y'all think about Kim's friends and family suspecting that her death is sacrificial? And do y'all think Kim's case is going to be reopened for investigation? Y'all been knew what to do. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And don't forget to click here to watch this other very messy video.